The British Army attempted to invade Nepal in 1815, but the Gurkhas, Nepal's warriors, quickly defeated them. So if they couldn't beat them, the British officials resolved to enlist the Gurkhas' help. They accepted to be recruited into the Crown's military after a peace accord ended all British conquest in Nepal. The Gurkhas have impressed everyone around them as some of the world's most fierce soldiers. Here are some of the most courageous Gurkha troops and stories ever told. DIPPRASAD Pun. DIPPRASAD Pun, CGC, is a Nepalese sergeant in the Royal Gurkha Rifles who was awarded the Conspicuous Gallantry Cross for an act of courage on the night of September 17, 2010, during the Afghan War. Pun, who was then an acting sergeant, beat 12 to 30 Taliban fighters who were storming his patrol post near BHANBHAGTA in Helmand province on his own. Pun, a member of the 1st Battalion Royal Gurkha Rifles, was on sentry duty at a checkpoint, guarding his unit's compound just before the battle. Taliban gunmen surrounded and attacked his post with AK-47s and RPGs while attempting to plant an IED near the complex gate under cover of darkness. He decided to kill as many enemies as he could because he thought he was about to die. Pun stated he had no choice but to fight because the Taliban had encircled his checkpoint, and he was alone when he received the honor. Pun saved 3 of his friends' lives by preventing his station from being overrun, the bravest seen in his battalion during 2 tours, according to his deeds. Afghan Ambush. The Gurkhas leave no one behind. When a platoon of troops was ambushed in the open in Afghanistan in 2008, a soldier, WWII, was hit and fatally wounded. But Captain Gajendra Angdembi and rifleman Dan Gurung and Manju Gurung led Rai across open terrain. For over 200 years, the Gurkhas have fought alongside the British. The current conflict in Afghanistan is no exception. A group of Gurkha soldiers was ambushed by Taliban insurgents while crossing an open area in 2008. WWII, one of their own, was shot and injured. The Gurkhas, like many militaries, do not leave men behind. Captain Gajendra Angdembi, riflemen Dan Gurung and Manju Gurung carried their companion across 325 feet of open land in the face of intense enemy fire. One of them even employed dual wielding with his rifle to return enough fire to allow the party to flee. LACHHIMAN Gurung. LACHHIMAN Gurung VC, 30 December 1917 to 12 December 2010, was a Nepalese-British Gurkha who received the Victoria Cross, Britain's highest and most prestigious award for bravery in the face of the enemy. Because of his efforts during World War II, he is renowned as the Gurkha who took on 200 soldiers with only one hand. When more than 200 Japanese forces began to fire in 1945, rifleman LACHHIMAN Gurung was stationed in a trench with only 2 other men. The companions of Gurung were gravely hurt. Gurung attempted to toss each grenade back as they were launched one by one. With the first 2 he was successful, but the third detonated in his right hand. His fingers were blasted off, and he suffered major injuries to his face, body, right arm, and leg. Gurung used his left hand to wield his weapon when the Japanese attacked the trench, eliminating 31 adversaries and stopping the Japanese from advancing. Gurung survived and received the Victoria Cross the same year. World War II Burma. BHANBHAGTA Gurung. Havildar BHANBHAGTA Gurung VC, also known as BHANBHAGTA Gurung, was a Nepalese Gurkha who received the Victoria Cross, the highest and most prestigious award for gallantry in the face of the enemy that can be awarded to British and Commonwealth forces, for his actions while serving as a rifleman with the 3rd Battalion of the 2nd Gurkha Rifles in Burma during World War II. BHANBHAGTA Gurung, who fought against the Japanese in Burma during World War II, was given the Victoria Cross for practically single-handedly liberating a bunker. Gurung came under intense fire from machine guns, grenades, mortars, and a sniper while serving in a platoon of only 10 troops. Gurung took out the sniper from a tree and charged uphill on his own. He fired grenades into a foxhole where enemies were firing and used his bayonet to take 3 more foxholes. Gurung then attacked the bunker with 2 smoke grenades and his kukri knife, the famous curved blade of the Gurkhas, well ahead of his teammates. He used the knife to defeat 2 Japanese troops and a rock to defeat another. Gurung then used a rifle to repel a counterattack by 3 other soldiers at the bunker. AGANSING Rai. AGANSING Rai VC, 24 April 1920 to 27 May 2000, was a Nepalese Gurkha who received the Victoria Cross, the highest and most prestigious award for bravery in the face of the enemy that British and Commonwealth soldiers may receive. On June 26, 1944, in Bishnupur in the Indian state of Manipur, AGANSING Rai, the 24-year-old Naik of the 2nd Battalion, 5th Royal Gurkha Rifles, led his section in an attack on one of 2 enemy-held posts that threatened British forces' communications. AGANSING Rai and his group charged a machine gun under heavy fire. 3 members of Rai's crew were killed when he attacked him. After taking the initial position, He led a charge against a machine gun shooting from the bush, killing 3 of the crew and leaving the remainder to his comrades. He then single-handedly attacked an isolated bunker, murdering all 4 residents. The enemy's morale was so low that they left, and the second position was recaptured. Rai was later awarded the Victoria Cross. GANJU LAMA. GANJU LAMA was a rifleman for the Indian Army during World War II, serving in the 1st Battalion, 7th Gurkha Rifles. On the 12th of June 1944, at Ningthukong, India, B Company came under intense machine gun and tank machine gun fire while attempting to halt the enemy's advance. GANJU LAMA seized his Piat anti-tank weapon and crept forward on his own initiative with incredible cool and full disregard for his own safety. Despite a fractured wrist and 2 more major wounds to his right leg and left hand, he pressed on, bringing the gun into action within 30 yards of the opposing tanks and knocking out 2 of them. A third was taken out by an anti-tank gun. He pressed on, throwing grenades at the tank's crews who were attempting to flee. He didn't allow himself to be taken back to the regimental aid post to have his wounds bandaged until he'd killed or wounded them all. GANJU LAMA's army had surprised a party of Japanese a month before during operations on the Tidam Road and killed several of them. For his contribution to the action, he received the Military Medal. This award was announced in the London Gazette about a month after he received his Victoria Cross on the 3rd of October 1944. GAJE. Sergeant GAJE was tasked to take a position that the Gurkhas had twice failed to capture in earlier combat against the Japanese on the Burmese front in 1943. He was wounded in his knee, arm, and body while leading his platoon through heavy fire. Regardless of his injuries, GALE engaged in a hand-to-hand battle with his opponents, seizing the initiative. He then held off a counterattack with his soldiers before receiving medical attention for his wounds. Without pausing to attend to his serious wounds, and with no heed to the intensive fire from all sides, Havildar GAJE closed his men and led them to close grips with the enemy when a bitter hand-to-hand struggle ensued. Havildar GAJE dominated the fight with his outstanding example of dauntless courage and superb leadership. Hurling hand grenades covered in blood from his own neglected wounds, he led assault after assault by shouting the Gurkhas' battle cry. He won, and later GALE received the Victoria Cross. Peter Jones. Some of the British officers in charge of the Gurkhas also displayed incredible bravery. At the Battle of Enfidaville in Tunisia in 1943, Colonel Peter Jones led a battalion of Gurkhas against the Germans. Colonel Michael Peter Feltham Jones, CBE DSO, 19 October 1919 to 11 April 2015, was a British Army officer of the Brigade of Gurkhas who was awarded an immediate DSO at the Battle of Enfidaville in Tunisia 1943. Jones shot down the emplacements with a Bren gun as the Gurkhas charged the Germans with their kukri knives under machine gun fire. Jones was shot in the neck but continued to battle in the hand-to-hand combat, where he suffered more injuries to his eye and thighs. He only agreed to treatment once the war had been won. His efforts were recognized with the Distinguished Service Order. BISHNU SHRETA. BISHNU SHRETA, born 1975, is a Gurkha soldier in the Indian Army who was given the Sena Medal for bravery and the Uttam Jeevan Raksha Padak Medal for his gallantry during an armed train robbery. BISHNU SHRETA, a 35-year-old retired Gurkha, was traveling a train in India in 2011 when 40 robbers boarded the train and began snatching the valuables of the passengers. The Gurkha, still wielding his kukri knife, confronted the robbers, who were equipped with knives, swords, and firearms. SHRETA was able to murder 3 thieves and hurt 8 more, causing the other criminals to flee. Another passenger was spared from rape by the former soldier. All of his valiant acts were rewarded with the Sena Medal for bravery and the Uttam Jeevan Raksha Padak Medal for his gallantry. These soldiers from Nepal regularly receive high valor awards from both Britain and India because of their bravery, and they are skilled, in one case defeating Taliban ambushes while outnumbered over 30-1. Such is the reputation of the Gurkhas, the fearless, fierce soldiers from Nepal, that even the gritty Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, one of India's greatest military commanders, was an avowed admirer. If a soldier says he is not afraid of death, he is either lying or he is a Gurkha. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.